take the shot. Well, what if I miss? And everybody else on the team comes around and says, what if you don't? Just start, number one. I'd say really look for other people in that space. It goes back to surrounding yourself with the right people. Every idea I get now, I find somebody who's in that space already, ideally a thought leader if I can reach them, and you'll be surprised how many thought leaders you can.
This is where the journey of expanding empires in real estate, small business, and life unfolds. Join me for insightful conversations with industry leaders, uncovering the strategies from overcoming setbacks to celebrating triumphs in business and life. This podcast is your guide through the roller coaster of entrepreneurial life. Whether you're navigating the challenges of small business or conquering the world of real estate, here is your empire. Welcome to Empire Expanders. Hey, everybody out there in the Empire Expanders world. I got my buddy Lewis on with us today. Lewis is a fellow podcaster. In fact, I've been on his podcast, although he wasn't available that day. But I'm available for him, so we'll make fun of him for that when he comes on my podcast because he was busy doing I don't know what at that point in time. He's also in real estate, so I apologize if this divulges into a real estate conversation because I am a real estate nerd. You all know that, even though I also like personal development and everything like that. So sometimes we go into real estate. He's a CEO of Pioneer Group Realty. He has a passion for realty and community building. So let's find out more about him, his realty, his master's degree, and what he's been doing and some of the roadblocks he stumbled across. Lewis, come on in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jason. This is great. Yeah, and I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You got all the right to make fun of me, man. I really miss having you on that show. I did hear it. It was an excellent episode with my first co-host, Adam, who I know you've had on the show as well. So, yeah, we'll have to get you back on, and then I'll get to get my revenge on you then.
That's a good point. I probably should have waited till I was on your show to mess with you.
Yeah.
And then you can say whatever you want. And then, then we'll just go back and forth, and I'll have to have you on my show again, and I'll have to mess with you more. And
yeah,
it'll be a never-ending cycle.
I agree. That'd be great.
Then we'll never run out of guests either, because I'm like, I don't have a guest. Hey, Lewis, what you doing? What you up to today?
That's right. That's right.
So, man, what are you up? Speaking of that, what are you up to these days? What are you doing? You host a podcast called the Wayfinder Show. You can tell us about that, and then what else are you up to?
Yeah, so the Wayfinder Show is it's a very similar show to yours. We pretty much interview people who operate at a really high level and what the decisions they made in their lives were to get there. I like to say really that we interview badasses and ask them about how they went about getting into badassery. So. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Is that your tagline underneath it? That'd be nice.
No, it's not, but I should add it, right?
It should be right behind your head right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love meeting people there. It's gotten a lot more fun, too, as time's gone on, because it's been a little bit over a year, and something happened around a year where we just started getting discovered, and all of a sudden, we got, like, these guests from well outside my network that are reaching out, and just the next few weeks, we got some really amazing guests that we've learned a lot from. And I'm going to send some of those your way too, because I think you'll realize these are really good people that we can learn a lot from and share their wisdom with the world.
Yeah, I would definitely love that. Doing podcasts. This is my 10th podcast, something that I put on. And I've spoken in front of people. I've done YouTube for a long time. This is different than that. And you're a year in, I'm a couple months in. So you're more comfortable. I've noticed each time I do one, I get a little more comfortable with it. It's a little more fun. Because I'm not uptight as much. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say? It's conversational. It's more fun.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that continues.
I think so. If you listen to like our first few episodes, Adam was our editor at the time, and he was so frustrated with me because I would and stutter so much. And now I just, as time goes on, you just let that go and you don't care. And you really focus on having a great conversation with the person on the other side. And I'd also started thinking, I got a great piece of advice from Jamie Gruber, who's the host of the Tribe Called Millionaires, who's kind of like a guru to me, right? The guy is amazing. His podcast is amazing. I hope one day we can get to that level. But one of the things he told us was that don't focus on your audience. Focus on the conversation you want to have with your guest. And that just was such sage advice that just changed everything for me. And I think since then, it's really become a lot more fun and took a lot of the nerves out.
I love that advice because that's what I want to do anyways. Like, I want to have a conversation with you. That's what I want to have. I want the conversation to benefit everyone out there, but the goal is to just have that conversation. right? Because
Yeah.
you and I haven't had a sit down conversation really. I think we talked once,
Yeah.
really. We had that one-on-one, and that was
Yeah.
about it. It's not like Adam I meet with every week and stuff like that. So I
Right.
don't know you to that level. So now I can get to know you to that level.
Yeah.
Dude, what made you start a podcast? You were sitting around one day and you know what? I feel like getting my voice out to the world.
Yeah. So, first of all, I've always been a big fan of podcasts in general. I've been listening for many years now. It's something that whenever I had an interest, I'd see if there's a podcast in that space, and then I'd go listen to it while I'm doing something else with my hands usually. And I thought that was great. And then Adam and I, Adam used to live in Denver, and we were part of a local pod here, mastermind group, accountability group, and we set some goals for the year, and we both had that we wanted to start a podcast. So then I just called him up and said, "Hey, why don't we start one together?" And that's kind of how it went. And there's been no real, we don't have ulterior motives. We never did. It wasn't in the sense that it wasn't to start another business. It wasn't to sell a product. It wasn't to become a coach and sell a product or anything like that. It was really just to meet badasses and have a good conversation with them and then share that conversation with the world. And I think eventually we'll probably figure out how to do something with it. But in the meantime, I think it leads to really good, authentic conversations from not having something else to have to sell or have to depend on it for a living. Cause I do have another business that I depend on for a living. So the Wayfinder show is just my creative outlet.
That must that must take some weight off too, because like
Totally.
this one here, this podcast, I started it and I was like, maybe it'll be an outlet to help people. Who knows, turn a coaching program one day. I don't know. But as you can see, like behind me, if anyone's looking, my coaching program, Salary to Stay, that's a short-term
Sure.
rental coaching program. So I wrestled at one point with the fact of, do I have to make a short-term rental podcast now? But then I went to, there's 1,000 of them already. So why should I make another one? Also, I really like doing this. I love having
Yeah.
these conversations like you're talking about. Why am I going to stop something I love and the 40, 50 people right now that's downloading it love too? So I'm going to stick with this because I like this. This is
That's
what I
it.
like doing. Like, why do I need everything to be aligned with the business I'm selling? I have Facebook ads running for that business. I have Facebook reach out running for that business. I have other things doing things to market that business. Let's just do this for fun.
Totally. Totally. And so many great things come out of it anyways, right? Like you just meet like amazing people who you build a relationship with and other things happen. You get business opportunities that come your way out of them. My book collection is through the roof now because we've had a bunch of authors and then they all send me books and
Cool.
I'm like, oh man, when am I ever going to get to all these now? You can go travel anywhere and you can call somebody up who you've had on the podcast and go have a coffee with them or whatever. So it's pretty amazing how it rewards you in other ways, right?
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm going to do when I go to this Go Abundance event in 3 weeks is I'm going to have my calendar link handy. Mark, this is for you. Your calendar is going to blow up because I'm going to be talking to a lot of good people down there at the event. And I'm like, oh, cool. Will you be on my podcast? Here's a calendar link. Just sign up.
Yeah,
Date, time.
that's it.
My producer
Yeah,
is Mark, by the way, everyone. He's going to be sitting at home going, what the hell is going on my calendar right now? It's going to be bing.
yeah, that's right. I do that, and it's really helpful, and it works really well. We recently went for Japan, and we had
Oh, I envy you.
an Airbnb experience. We hired a guide there. She was actually an expat who's there now, and she was fascinating. She just has a really great background, and so I just was like, hey, I would love to have you on the show and share your experience as an expat in Kyoto, and how did you go about building a business there, and all that, and sent her the calendar link. She just signed up. It's going to be a while. We're not recording with her for a little while, and then we're so backed up that it probably won't come out till the fall. But I mean, those are the kind of things we get to do. And other Airbnb owners we've met, I know you're in STR business, but they're fascinating people, and you meet them. A lot of them are chasing their passions and figuring out how to monetize that so they can live their passions. And I love those kind of people. And I meet more people like that and just send them the link and get them on and have great conversations with them.
The fun part, most investors, Airbnb owners, but investors in general that's typically not what they do alone. They invest in buildings, but they either syndicate or they run a coaching business on the side or they have another business. Like they're always doing something else that's cool.
That's right.
So if you dig behind hey, you have an Airbnb, what else do? You
That's
find the
right.
cool stories.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us, when we do something for a living, it actually ends up being a pretty boring phase of our lives. It might appear interesting to other people, but to ourselves, I know for me, I'm speaking for myself. It's a boring part of my life, really. Like I'm in real estate too. I'm a broker. I invest. I've been in it for 27 years. I am passionate and curious about it to a sense, but I don't get interested in so much in it anymore. Like I barely listen to any podcasts about real estate anymore. I'll keep up with reading, but unless there's a new area that fills my curiosity, it becomes kind of boring. So the other things in life are really what fills that bucket of excitement for me. So like podcasting does that, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you talk about the big things that excite other people that become boring to you. I remember going on my third year of flipping houses. At
Yeah.
this point, I'm flipping like 3 houses at a time. And
Yeah.
I just found it boring. I'm like, I show up at the house, stuff's getting done. This because it's all a system at that point in time, right?
Totally.
It's just okay, cool. I'm on budget. The house is being done. I'm actually probably not on budget because I never friggin' on budget. I wasn't. We were not. We most of them stayed close to budget except the last one. It's the point where it's. I've done this a bunch of times. I had the point I flipped like 12 houses or something like that, 10 to
Yeah.
12. But yeah, I was like, how is this super exciting thing that a lot of people want to do become mundane to me? And I've gotten into a lot of things in my life, coaching for a while, which has not become mundane because that's what I really want to do. Real estate agency, I've done 150 something transactions in real estate agency, all kinds of other things. And most of the things have become, after a while, they're systemized. And I've always, what's next?
That's right.
And I think one of the cool things Go Abundance teaches us, and some other things like Vivid Vision, that book, I know you've probably read that,
Yeah.
teaches us is to find your path and your vision. And one of the things I think the reason I'm always what's nexting is I wasn't looking in the right direction. I was wandering around, but now that I'm looking in the right direction, there'll be less what's next because I'm walking the right path. What's your thoughts on what I just said there?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind. I think first of all, I feel you. I think we all like real estate people in general. A lot of us tend to have ADHD, right? Like we get into it because it seems very sexy, and we become good at it, and then it's very boring. And any little thing we build a system for, and anything that falls outside of the system starts to frustrate us, and we don't want to keep going with it. It becomes almost too easy, and there's something about that, the excitement of it, that just disappears, right? I flipped for many years from about 2002 to 2009, and I mean, I don't know how many I did, but I was up to 3 a month for a long
Ooh.
time in Baltimore, Maryland, which is easy to find them. There's a ton of vacancies there and all that. But yeah, I remember even then, like just being frustrated. Like it wasn't even fun when you go to close and you get this big old check, and you're like, whatever. And it wasn't like I had it like that. Yeah, I was doing better, but it wasn't. It just didn't excite me. And I think that was part of it. Like you get into it for the money, you get into it because it's sexy and all that. You see the shows. Back then, there weren't too many shows, but it's still something great about taking something that was bad and like coal and turning it into a diamond. But after you do it for a while, it gets tiring. And then the money, the survival money piece of it disappears, where you actually have some money, and then you start realizing the passion there isn't really there, and you're trying to find what is next that you have some passion in. So that was the other piece that I took from that was coming to me when you were saying that. I think we start we get like we go through an evolution of survival to maybe some I don't know what the right word is, but we get beyond survival and we get bored and we're looking for something else. When in reality, if we want true wealth, I think that what we do is we stay in that system we created and just fine tune the heck out of it and keep doing it more and more at an even better pace, more niche down, and that will create the true wealth, right? But that gets boring to us, right? The biggest companies don't go and do a million different things at once, at least initially. They get really good and scale the heck out of one thing so succincly and build that up to a point where okay, then they can go into another vertical or horizontal from there. So
Yeah, you
so
need to survive, and then you move to thrive. So once you
that's it.
survive, you thrive.
That's it.
Um, and you make a great point. So I was doing financially great when I was flipping homes, doing fine now. But if I would have kept on the path of flipping homes and built that business and did it, I would be doing much better now than I am doing financially now,
Totally.
because the money was coming in, it was doing well. I was very risk adverse, so I underwrote pretty conservatively when I did that, which would have helped me in this market. Granted, I probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of an agreement because this market's tight, but I could have built up and done just fine there. But it wasn't for me. So I said I would do better financially. I don't think I would do better on what we call the life happiness index. I'm
Yeah.
happier now with what I'm doing, having these conversations, building a coaching program, which is something that was always on my mind and something I thought I would never do. Am I worthy of that? Can I build a coaching program? Should I do that? It's more of like, why don't I do that? I have the
Yeah.
knowledge, I have the skills, and I have the empathy to help people out to do it. Well, like you was done a podcast and stuff. Why not?
Yeah.
We ask that question ourselves too much. Like, why me instead of why not me? One word difference, huge difference, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that's right. Like ultimately just follow your passion and everything else is kind of fall into place, right? Somehow the universe finds a way of providing for you regardless. So, I mean, going back to the flipping example, that can be super stressful. And I did it through the '08 recession, which wiped us out pretty much. And still, we found a way to eat and have a roof over our table, over our heads. So, after surviving something like that, you start to realize, okay, I can survive anything.
one thing they never told us about flipping when I was learning was your bank account. When you're
Yeah,
like, I have 100,000 in my bank account, I have 10, I have 60, I have 5, I have
yeah,
40, I have negative 30. Oh my
yeah,
God! On a daily
yeah,
basis,
exactly. Yeah,
pay the contract, a draw comes in. Pay
yeah,
this, a draw comes in. You're just
yeah.
like, and you just your heart's.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it was really nerve wracking. At one point, we did well. We got to a point where we were doing so well. We had these big lines of credits with the local banks and everything, and it was just like that. That made it a little bit less stressful. But even then, you get to a point where you use that and you scale so much that that starts going up and down so much as well. It I don't know. It is something that does test your stress management abilities for sure.
Yeah, because like people listening probably right now, hey, didn't you bank money, Jason, like for this? Yes, I did, but then I just started a second flip and a third flip, and I started getting private money, and that's how this works.
Yeah.
You're doing one flip at a time, and
Hmm.
this is just all business in general, right? You start growing. So
Hmm.
in flipping, you're doing one flip at a time, typically with your own money or a partner, and then from there you start getting good. Then you go, okay, I'll do two at a time, and now you get two bills you're paying out for houses, and two
Right.
draws that are coming in, and then you get three houses at a time. Now you
Hmm.
got three bills going out, three houses worth of bills going out, three draws coming in at a time, and you have to manage when those bills are going out and when those are coming in with your bank account to make sure you can keep all the payments going and stuff like that. Between the holding costs, the contractor payments, the mortgage payments, the utility payments, and everything else. This
Right.
isn't like HGTV. Lewis knows, right, man? It's not. I bought it for this. It cost this to fix it. I sold it for this. I made this much money. In fact, one of my pet peeves is when people post a check they made from flipping a house, like, I made 100 grand on this. I'm like, oh yeah? How much did you pay back the lender? How much did you pay
Yeah.
back your private money lender? How much did you pay back yourself? What did you really earn, dude?
Yeah. That
Sorry.
check that you
Ah,
get when it closes is usually there's so much gone from it, right? That
mhm.
yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of my biggest pet peeves too. And then the bigger one, and I suffered from this my very first time I made money, I didn't account for taxes. I was so used to being a W-2 guy that your taxes come out. You just grow up thinking the taxes is something you get back every year. And then you go and do your taxes and you realize you got to write a big old check. And I know my first time I didn't set that aside. I didn't, and a lot of people don't, and it's a big problem. So,
Yep. And if you're flipping, that is high tax bracket.
yep,
That is
totally.
short money. That is
Hmm.
short term money, and they will get you on that one unless you have some properties or doing some other things that can offset
Right.
it. That's what I do now. But yeah, that can be hard.
Totally. I mean, a lot of people now, because of all the TV shows, flipping is such a sexy thing that everybody thinks they want to do. But the truth is, it's a job. It's taxed like one. It feels like one. It's a job, and it is not an investment. Everybody thinks they're getting into real estate investing by flipping. It's not. The day you flip and you decide to refi that to keep it, BRRRR strategy, the buy, rehab, refi, and repeat, then I can see the argument. That's a value add investment, right? But if you're just straight flipping, that's a job. That's not an investment.
Yeah, it's a gateway to my thought in the investment world. Like you said,
Sure.
flipping's a transaction. Real estate agency is a transaction. All those things stop when you stop. That was
That's
one
it.
of my things. So I went from real estate agency to flipping. I still do some agency on the side to buy and holds and starting businesses. I stopped agency or slowed down agency because as soon as I stopped a house, right, I don't get any money.
Yeah.
Flipping houses was more money per hit, longer time to get the money. But again, once I stopped, it stopped. So I took them. I
Yeah.
funneled money from agency and flipping into longer term investments. Is what I was doing, and then I bought a business, and I realized I kind of like businesses. So then I started building a
Mhm.
business too, because as you said, we don't want to be transactional. There's no retirement for transactional.
Nope.
You stop, it stops. You stop, it stops. That's it. We don't want to be there. We want to be the fact that we can sit back at some point in time or go on vacation and the cash machine's still working.
That's right. That's right.
So what else you got going on in your life right now, Lewis? You said you're a
Well,
broker, right?
I am. Yeah, I got a little brokerage here in Denver, Colorado. We've been going through a transition, kind of disbanded the residential part of that lately and going focusing more on commercial and investment real estate, a little business investment as well. Maybe having a big announcement soon on that front. Well, we possibly expanded into business brokerage as well and have a possibly with a pretty heavy hitter in the industry. So that's kind of excitement. Stay tuned. Exciting. Stay tuned. Yeah. And I do love real estate. It's kind of what I know best. I do consider myself, I haven't written anything. I'm not a coach. I'm not a guru, but I've been at this for a very long time. I first got my license in 97. I paid my way through college that way. I've done everything from obviously flipping, management. I haven't done much in STRs outside of renting Airbnbs. That was just a newer phenomena. So yeah, it's fun. Now I really enjoy on the commercial side working with developers and other investors, larger institutions, just different types of properties. It satisfies my analytical mind to understand different kinds of properties. For example, yeah, developments, they're always a big undertaking, how you can take it from concept to an actual viable, stabilized development, or LIHTC, low income housing tax credits. Anytime you're involved with the government, that creates a whole bunch of factors that we don't deal with in regular transactions. And it's basically like adding a lot more pieces to the puzzle and then figuring out how to solve that. So I enjoy that. Yeah. So that's it. And other than that, I got family. I enjoy spending my time with them. I also enjoy running a lot, long distance running. I'm always training for something. The reason why I was in Japan is I was there to run my last world major marathon in Tokyo, which was pretty cool experience. And I got to take my family with me, so that was pretty awesome.
Hey, didn't you
So
just isn't that some like circuit you completed where you just ran like all the majors in the world and got this huge super medal?
yeah, yeah, that's right. There's 6 marathon world majors, they call them, the Abbott World Marathon Majors, in 6 different cities around the world. And Tokyo was my last one. And yeah, you get a little medal. It was pretty cool. The first time I ever felt like a celebrity. Afterwards, they got like a different line at the finish line that you walk through, and there's like people taking pictures of you and all that to give you that medal, which is pretty neat. It wasn't terribly special because there were like over 2,000 people who got it, but they still made us feel pretty special.
What made you wanted to run the 6 marathons? 6, you
Yeah,
said, right?
it just was an evolution of goals, right? I think it starts with a small goal, and then I'm one of those guys when I get into something, like I get really deep into it. And the deeper you go, you start uncovering like the subworld of it. And so you do what it takes to be successful in that, like in business or in life, right? You start surrounding yourself with people who are just a little bit better than you, and you become like them, and they're doing certain things. And then you go up to another group that's doing even better than them. And once you're caught up and they're doing certain things. So I started I just wanted to run one marathon. It was kind of helping me to recover from the '08 crisis. We really took a big hit from that. And I wasn't a runner. I wasn't even healthy, big drinker. And it just wasn't, just could barely run a mile. And then I stopped by to see a friend on a road trip, and he was that friend who's kind of out of shape and clumsy and all that. And I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and he tells me that he's running a marathon. And I'm like, nah, man, come on, you,
Don't lie
that
to me.
friend. Yeah, don't
Don't
lie.
lie to me.
And he did, and I was like fascinated. I had never met anybody who'd done one. And I'm like, how do you train for that? And he showed me this book. It was called the Non-Runners Marathon Training, and it's this journal that you take in a college class. I think it took place at University of Idaho, and these two professors teach this class. Students sign up, and at the time that you do it, you take the class, the final exam is essentially finishing a marathon. But it's set up over 16 weeks, I believe, and you just read it like a journal. And so I started doing that, and I signed up for a marathon, did Philadelphia, and that was it. I kind of got the bug for running anyways. I was saying I would never do it again. But then I moved to Colorado, and everybody here, that's funny, everybody here has done them, but you never see a 26.2-mile sticker on the back of somebody's car. You go somewhere else and you see them all over. And it's because it's a big achievement, but you come to Colorado and everybody's done them. So it's no big deal. So nobody's got a sticker, right?
Like it's
So
just a Tuesday here. We just do them. It's normal.
exactly. Yeah. So I just used running as an excuse to meet people. I go to the pub. All the pubs have run or breweries, and they all have run clubs. So thought, hey, that's a justification. If I run, then I can have a beer, whatever. And I met people, and then from them, I'm seeing like all these people who are like 20 years older than me, 30 years older than me, and they're running faster. And I'm like, how the hell? And I could barely breathe because it's altitude. So I start trying to hang out with them and get better. And then I'm learning they're doing marathons all the time, and I'm learning about that. And then they start saying, hey, I'm going to do Boston. So then that becomes a big goal. And then I learned Boston's a world marathon major. So, oh, what is that? Oh, maybe I'll do all those one day. You know what I mean? You start going, and then it's pretty cool. And it starts taking you around the world, and you meet other people. And so that's kind of how it happens.
I've watched the Boston a few times. My friend Jen runs it.
Yeah.
In fact, I got to get you guys talking. She's a marathon runner. She's trying to run a race in every state. I don't think she wants to do the 6 world majors. I'm not sure. You guys can talk about that. But she's an amazing person, great mindset, and just loves running.
Yeah.
In crazy shape.
Yeah.
In fact, I think for her next birthday, I don't know her age, nor would I say it here. We're going to run like a mile. She's going to run like a mile for every year she's been alive. We are not going to run that with her. We're going to trade in and trade out and run with her. I thought that was a really cool idea for that. She's going to be on the show at some points too. She has a really great story.
Yeah.
So the runner world is a really cool world. And it brings up something. This podcast is all about empire expanders, right? Empire expanders are the people you surround yourself with to help you become a better person. And they become better people too, right? Because we're surrounded by people. I see that a lot in the running world because I know people in the running world. How do you think the people in the running world and the people you surround yourself with, how has that helped you grow and develop? Like, how has it helped you be inspired to become a better version of yourself?
Yeah, I think to me, my running community is really, and running in general, like the life lessons it teaches you are kind of what's taught me the soft skills and life skills that make me successful. Like I didn't come from much. I grew up in a really poor community. Nobody had gone to college. Most people don't even graduate high school there. Like my high school had like a 50% dropout rate from freshman year to senior year. So all the people when you want to surround yourself with positive people and great people, there's a cap on that. And I think once I started getting into running and people see that you try, I'm a pretty competitive person. I always want to try. I don't give up. And they see that, then they start bringing you along, and then you get to know them and you see what they are and what they do and how successful they are in other parts of their life. And you're like, holy cow. Like I never imagined myself being in a room with some of these. I mean, I've run with people who run like really ginormous companies or founded really ginormous, you know what I mean? And or just done like incredible things And I wasn't exposed to that. And just being around them really expands your mind so to what's possible. And then also, and it was a different spin. Like when you come from a community where everybody's struggling, right? And everybody's down, and there's a scarcity mindset is the norm, right? And you go into one of abundance and where people are pushing you and holding you accountable, holding you high, believing in you and all that, and proud of your achievements. Like you can genuinely feel that they are happy about your achievements, even though they didn't have them. They feel them like they did. Like that, it becomes, it just has such a big impact on you. I could really feel like when I was at Tokyo, like all of my friends and family back home cheering for me. You know what I'm saying? And when I got back to my finished and I got my phone, I'm looking like all of the texts and all that. I was like, wow. But I didn't have a single one from people I grew up with. Now a lot of them I didn't stay in touch with, but I would have never gotten there if I stayed hanging out around with them. Does that make sense? So it really epitomized it really showed me that saying about you are the average of the 5 people you are around, it makes the most sense. Like to me, that's how it hit home for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Let's dig a little deeper. Maybe for the people out there listening that I haven't heard this terminology too much. You mentioned scarcity and abundance mindset. Tell me the differences. Define in your mind what a scarcity mindset is versus an abundance mindset.
Yeah. Scarcity mindset is, I think it's the belief that there is a limited amount of a resource in the world, whatever that is, money, food, whatever it could be. And you're competing for it against certain others. So you got to get it or the others don't, right? Or that's how I translate it is. Whereas abundance mindset is like the world is so abundant, the universe is so abundant that there is enough out there for you and everybody else, right? And money is a great what's it called? Like example of this. We all think, okay, we can't have a scarcity mindset would say, okay, there's only so much money in the world and I can't get enough of it, or I got to get that dollar before that guy does, right? Whereas an abundant mindset would say, hey, there is an infinite amount of money in the world, and I can get that dollar and then some, and so can that guy, and I can help him, and we can get it together. And we could probably get more together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What
Yeah.
about, like, say you give me an example, a money example. Give me two guys we're talking to, same person. One is a scarcity mindset, one is an abundance mindset. Say, like with the real estate world, I'm a real estate agent. I'm with you. What's a real estate agent do that has a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good one.
As I
So
put
I
Lewis on the
think
spot here.
it's all good. I think an abundance mindset. Oh, let's start with the scarcity one. The scarcity one would be that agent who's competing for that listing because they believe they got to win that one. That's the only listing they're going to get, and they go all out for it, and they're willing to screw everybody over for it. They're going to talk bad about the other agents. They're going to go do what it takes to get that one. And the abundant mindset is going to say, hey, there are these many hundreds of thousands of homes in this community. I'm going to try my best for that one, but I'm also going to try and get some more because there's more, right? And maybe I'll get so busy that I'll have to build a team and bring that other person on, and they'll have to list that one. They can list that one while I'm out getting more. And then we can all have listings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think about too in the real estate world is actually, let's talk about home inspectors. It's really prevalent in that world. In fact, I had a
Yeah.
home inspector like Joe Sue, who's amazing. Scarcity mindset in that
Yeah.
world. I will not train my competition because there's a certain amount of home inspections out there.
Yeah.
So I won't train my competition, which is a huge thing in the home inspection world. Sue,
Hmm.
who was on the show, will train her competition because she knows she can't cover every home inspection in Massachusetts. So she has an abundance mindset. I'm going to help other people because I'm going to do just fine anyways.
Hmm.
Because how many homes are sold in Massachusetts a year? I don't even know anymore. I don't keep track. But thousands and tens of thousands of homes. Try doing that many home inspections a year. It ain't
That's
going to
right.
work. Or like, yeah, our real estate world. Another real estate agent asked me a question on how to do something. I'm going to be like, I ain't helping you. You're the competition. I'm going to be like, hey, this is how I would do it. Here you go. And then good to go. It's not like maybe what happens. They beat me on a listing later on. Whoop-de-doo. I'll do fine. I'll do enough listings. or that sort of thing. That's a, I guess scarcity mindset is another like thing that bothers me. Probably because I was there at one point in
Me
my life.
too,
I don't want to be there
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So when I see it, it reminds me of a version of me that I don't like.
Same here. As soon as I hear some language come out of somebody like that, I immediately just start writing them off. That's not somebody I want to be around. Like I really believe we got to protect our energy, and that revolves or that means who we surround ourselves with. And if we're just surrounding ourselves with scarcity mindset people, we're letting that energy into us. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I went to this real estate club. I got invited to, it's like a private like mastermind session one time, and the guy who was leading it was talking all about himself the whole time, right? And then he went around and he started asking, he's talking about how great he is, all the stuff he did 20 years ago in the business and what have you. And then he goes around and he's asking people, what are we up to? And I was working on a LIHTC deal, a low income housing, and he was curious about that. He hadn't heard about it. How does that work and all this stuff? And he thinks this is like a new phenomenon. This has been around since the 60s, right? Like the housing projects were built on LIHTC. And he's, hey, don't say any more about that, because the government just released like a ton of money for LIHTC projects. So there's a lot of abundance out there for it. And he said to me, hey, don't talk anymore about that. Me and you will talk offline. And I was like ready to just walk out if it wasn't his meeting. But I'm like, no, this is like something we probably should all know and do together and work at it. These are massive deals that if we close one together, which sometimes it takes a team to do, we'll all eat better than if we did chasing one small deal, right? Anyways, that we're all chasing. And if we all do more, then maybe we can help provide more affordable housing for the world. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, so yeah, it is a big pet peeve for me too. When I hear that.
Yeah. I find my biggest pet peeves are things that remind me of my past, like stupid shit I used to do. And then that's because it's there's this little twinge in you. Let's go there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, we've done a lot of work, you and I, to get to where we are now. And I'm not talking about financial, I'm talking about as human beings and where we are with ourselves and our satisfaction with ourselves and everything. And when we look back at who we were 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago, we're like, man, I'm sure I know I feel, man, I wasted so much of my life in that with that mindset. Like that, yeah, bugs me out. So
yeah, but still, without that part of our lives, we wouldn't probably have gotten to the point where we're ready to change.
Of course.
Like, the constant grinding, the worrying about finances over everything else in my life wouldn't have gotten to the point where I broke down and went, I need something different.
That's right.
If I didn't go to that level, I would have probably just continued status quo the whole way instead of having hit that wall and been like, I need something. And then had those breakdowns and this crying sessions and everything else that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where I got to. And the growth is wonderful. And one of the things they don't tell you about growth is it's also painful. Like shedding old you is very hard. It can be emotionally hard, but also emotionally amazing, because you are changing patterns, you are changing habits, you're changing ways of thinking. Sometimes you're changing friends. As you talked about earlier, you don't talk to some of your childhood friends or family. That's even harder, or family, because you can realize some people lift you up, some people hold you back. I am lucky. I have a wonderful group of friends that I've had for 20 years.
Nice.
How old am I now? 20 years plus. So, but I've had other friends that are no longer part of my life because of stuff like that. But yeah, they don't. When you're growing, it's just like anything else. When you're building a business, you put in the work, and it isn't easy. It's not. You can't just be like, hey, I'm going to be a completely new person tomorrow. You have 20, 30, 40 years, depending on how old you are, of built-in habits, built-in ways of doing things, neurological programming that you then have to undo and then put back together.
That's right.
And the emotions involved with that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, man. So we didn't talk too much about your past, and we don't have time to really dig into all of it. We'll have to have you come back at some point in time. Tell me about some obstacles and some setbacks and stuff during your journey. Like, what kind of things did you run into that really set you back, held you back?
I mean, I think it's all mindset. Now that looking back, right? Like your limiting beliefs, lack of self-awareness with them. Like I didn't know how, I wasn't aware of just how limiting my beliefs were. I wasn't aware of how, I mean, for talking about surrounding yourself with others, like I thought whenever I had success, it was all me. I'm so smart. I'm so great. I work harder. I'm smarter, all this stuff. And I didn't realize how much of it was luck, how much other people had brought me to that place. And I took that for granted. I think I probably had a lot of anger issues around it because when something would go wrong, I'm like, this isn't fair, or didn't realize these were lessons that life is trying to teach me, and I should be grateful for them. Lack of gratitude. I mean, all kind of it's all the mindset stuff that has held you back. I think, and until you develop a mindset where you're grateful for everything that happens to you, and recognize that there's a reason for it that you should be learning from, then you don't you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah. So some of these setbacks and challenges, how do you leverage those to like grow as a person in your career too?
Yeah, I think now, it's recognizing very early on, like when you meet somebody new, that to be grateful for meeting them, and that they're here for a reason, for you to help each other kind of grow and expand with them. I think I'm learning to trust. Like I used to not trust anybody, just everybody was out to get me and all this stuff. And now it's the opposite. Like I'll trust maybe to a fault. And if I get screwed, then so be it. And then just cut it off and move on. But by allowing for that from the beginning, then there's just allows for so much more expansion. Because the truth is most people aren't out to screw you. They don't really care about you like enough to want to screw you. Like they want to grow too, and they get attracted to you because you want to do great things. And so you should go down the path together, and have some trust. Obviously, set some limits, but and it's amazing how that happens, and it allows for great like business partnerships, other partnerships to develop a lot easier and quicker. You know.
A couple cool things come to mind with what you're talking about. Not trusting. I think that leads directly to the scarcity mindset. I'm thinking about somebody with scarcity mindset, and when I was in that mindset, was everyone that's come up to me, what do you want? What are you doing? How are you trying to get over me? What do you want to sell me?
Yeah.
Every time they talk to me. Where now it's, hey, how can I help you? How can we work together? What's going on? That's the first thing that kind of comes to my mind when it comes to, what you were just talking about there. And the second thing just eluded me because I was talking about the first thing. So I've lost that entirely. I don't know what just happened right there. I had some knowledge to spit.
It was so profound,
It's
man.
gone.
You're about to solve world hunger.
It's yeah. Now it's gone, guys. Everyone out there, I just
It'll
about
come
to
back, man.
change your lives with
Yeah.
my knowledge, but I guess I can't do that now. I'm sorry.
You mean there's actually going to be problems in the world now?
Yeah, all
Jeez.
because of this podcast did not. Lewis and I did
Man.
not solve it because I've lost my train of thought. I must hold on. Maybe some coffee will help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking obstacles and challenges and growth. And I don't know where I was going to go with that. I know I had something good though. It was good.
I think you're talking about trust and how it goes back to that scarcity mindset around it. Yeah, I think again with that we think we can't trust somebody because they're out to get you, they're out to get what you want, all that stuff. And again, the truth is most people I think aren't like that. They're gonna help you. In lieu, you're helping them too. I mean, in return, you're helping them too, and you can both win.
I got it, Lewis. I got it. Sorry, guys. It's not world changing, but it's okay. All right. I built this up. It's overhyped. So Lewis was talking about people out to get you, people screw you and stuff like that. One of the things that's been told to me, which is wonderful and has shown up for a lot of times, is what you go looking for, you will find. If you're looking for a fight, you will find a fight. If you're looking for somebody to screw you over, you will find people that want to screw you over. If you're looking for people to help you, if you are looking for people to partner with, if you are looking for anything, you will find it if you put it out into the world. I was looking for coaching opportunities at one point in my life, and for years I wanted to. I finally wrote a vision and put it out there into the world, and guess what? A month later, I had somebody call me up and talk to me or whatever. I forgot exactly how we got in contact. Then we had a lunch meeting, and then it was a volunteer gig, but I was coaching people in real estate investment.
Yeah.
Years was going, I should do this. I really want to do this one day in my life. And then I finally put it to paper and tell someone about it. And then a month later, I'm talking to someone about coaching because I put it out there. So
Yeah.
that was my world-changing news, everyone.
I think
put it out into the world.
Yeah. I think what you say though about visioning is so true, man. I mean, even the examples you gave, like about going to a fight, where I grew up in a really tough neighborhood, right? And I always was afraid of getting jumped, right? Because that happens a lot where you grow up. You're going to get into a fight on your way to wherever. So I'd always be thinking ahead about what am I going to do if I get jumped here? How do I protect myself? I'd like walk around with a sharpened pencil in my hand at the time, all the time. I mean, because you're worried at any moment you're going to get attacked and when these kind of things. And guess what happens? You get jumped. You get into fights. You know what I mean? Somebody comes up to you, you might, it might be because you were expecting it so much, you might swing before when you shouldn't have or something. And all of a sudden it's over. That's just kind of what happens in those neighborhoods. And then now it's totally different. I have an idea for a business. For a while, I've been looking at laundromats. I've had this laundry idea, right? And the last few months I've been going after them. And can I tell you, I probably get now I couldn't find them. Didn't know how. Everybody's, oh, it's so hard to find these things. And now I got laundromats coming at me all the time. I just made an LOI, submitted an LOI on one in West Denver like a week ago. I mean, they're coming left and right, like they're all over the place. So it's wild. You just open up your mind to something else and it starts coming, right? But
Yeah.
it's all about visioning.
It's this crazy world, universe, God, whatever way you want to put it out there in the world.
Yeah.
Like you put it out there and it comes back to you. It could
Mhm.
be, it just kind of happens. It could be you mentioned to one of your friends because you were afraid to mention it. Finally, you mentioned like, "Hey, I have a friend who's looking to sell something like that or something like that." And you're like, "Oh, what?
Mhm.
Really? It's
Mhm.
crazy." And it's just something we all are scared to do because we're scared to talk about our ambitions. They might think I'm not good enough for this, or like, why me instead of why not me? And then we finally talk about it, and then it gets out there, and people, like you said, the running thing. When you finally put it out there, people are excited for you.
Totally.
You spent this whole time being like, "Oh my God, they're gonna make fun of me. They're gonna say I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. You can't run a marathon. Why do you think you can run a marathon?" But then you finally put it out there, and they're like, "Good job. That was awesome. Hell yeah, I knew you could do it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Totally.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say one more thing about that. I was reading this morning in the Denver Post, the Nuggets won last night, right? They came back and at the last second, Jamal Murray hit a jumper over Anthony Davis and they won. Woohoo. It was funny. I was reading this article and it talked about Jamal Murray's success is all because he meditates a lot. And it went into that. But they asked him in that article why, what gave him the confidence to shoot that shot. And obviously he envisioned taking that shot a million times and passed it and getting it in. And so in his mind, he had already hit that shot before he ever got it. And another thing, so that's part of going back to visioning when you said, but the other thing I thought uh, about in that article that was surrounding yourself with others, he was having a bad night. He wasn't hitting all the shots. I forget what he was, but he was having a pretty bad shooting night. But he was starting to say to his teammates, "Hey guys, be ready. I'm going to hand it off to you guys." And all his teammates would reply to him, "No, you got to shoot." So this is who you surround yourself with, how they reinforce, support you, and all that. It's a great example of that. They could have said, "Yeah, man, you suck tonight. Just give it to me," but instead they're like, "Nah, you got to take the shot, man. You got to go. You got to get out of that." And this is a playoff game. They're pushing him when he was getting down on himself, and they supported him for that. So that's really important stuff, and that's why they won, and they're gonna win again over your Boston Celtics.
Aw, I don't really watch basketball. We're good though, aren't we? The Celtics right now.
Yeah, you guys are good. I'm actually scared. And that's
Okay.
actually my other team because I grew up in New England too. So
Okay.
it's gonna be hard to yeah. I guess I'll win either way.
Yeah, this isn't really podcast worthy, but since it's gone to streaming services, it's so annoying to try to find sports.
Yeah,
It's because it's all decentralized at this point in time. But
totally.
uh,
Yeah, I don't know how to find it anymore. A live game anymore.
yeah,
It's funny.
but it's nice they gave him, like, they still trust him. They're still like, "Hey, dude, you're still the man," and
Yeah.
I filled him back up. It wasn't people can pick you up or let you down, and it's
Hmm.
in those times of need where they really need to pick you up because that's when you're hurting. You're like, "I
Totally.
can't do this." Oh, yeah, you can. Like,
Yeah.
go up and do it, and he did.
Yeah. I mean, to use another basketball analogy from the great movie Space Jam, there was a
The
scene
first
in
one, right?
there. What's that?
The first one, you mean?
I can't remember which one it was, but I do remember the scene where the character didn't want to take the shot because he was scared that he was going to miss. And they told him, "Why don't you take the shot?" "Well, what if I miss?" And everybody else on the team comes around and says, what if you don't? So that's pretty powerful stuff right there.
Yeah. That's that one word thing again, right? The why me, the why not me.
Yeah.
The what if I miss, the what if you don't miss. That's just a small change and it's, you think of it as wording and it's just a word. But if you can get that into your head and into your heart, into your soul, into your mindset, I am good enough, or
Yeah.
why not me? Why not me? Why not me?
That's
Instead
right.
of why me? If you can really let that resonate, things will change. That's in, I was actually, and Mark's going to kill me. We got to wrap this up soon. I was actually in, so one of the things I'm doing right now is I couldn't black belt test this year because I'm going to go abundance and a few other things. I screwed up and kind of scheduled that during black belt testing. So I'm helping the black belts. And they had their first test this weekend. And the black belt test, it's a 3-month long endeavor where they have a couple hours, like 3 hours a week plus many other things. But then they have 3 tests. And one of the tests is like a 4 to 5 hour grueling, no stop, get attacked constantly, can barely breathe test. And one of the ladies in the beginning, I can't. And so I had to attack her. But every time I attacked her, before I attacked her, I was like, you can and will, you can and will, you can and will. And I was trying to get that into her head. It's not I can't, I can, I will, I can, I will. Because if you can get that, if you have that can't going on your head and you got 4 hours of people beating on you, this, your head is going to overcome everything. If you have I can and I will in my head, you will.
Totally.
No, if I say I can and I can't, you correct, that sort of thing. So it was, and she did. She made it through. I was there for 3.5 hours with them, and they had another hour or so that they went. And I watched them, and I was like, oh my God, this is intense.
Yeah.
So, and she went through it. She had her breaking points, and she powered through. She was attacked by a lot of people. She's probably 5'3", and she's got some guys 6'7", 230 pure muscle jumping her because they want to make sure the black belts can handle themselves. I mean, they don't hurt her, but they make him they put you in uncomfortable situations. And she told herself at one point in time, I'm going to do this. It was amazing to see her fight through and break through because she can and she will. She lost, at some point in time, she lost the I can't. She lost the watch 3T. Got a couple questions for you, Lewis.
Go for it.
Easy ones, man. Starting entrepreneurs are the people we're really talking to the most in this podcast. People mindset. So what I usually ask is one piece of advice you would give somebody in that position.
If they're starting, just start. Number one. If they're already there and they're struggling, I'd say really look for other people in that space. It goes back to surrounding yourself with the right people and call them up. I mean, today it's easier than ever, man. I have every idea I get now, I find somebody who's in that space already, ideally a thought leader if I can reach them. And you'll be surprised how many thought leaders you think there's world famous people. You can easily reach them now by just sending an email or DMing them on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. It's easy. But reach out to people and ask for help. And you'll be surprised how many people will help you. They're all people want to help you. People want to help you be successful. So they want to help you get through those struggles. So reach out.
And guys, asking for help does not make you weak. And gals, everyone out there, just heads up, that makes you strong. The other question, Lewis, is what's the best place to find you if somebody wants to reach out to you, say hi, ask some questions, or be on your show?
Yeah, I'd say just send me an email, luishernandez@gmail.com, LUI Hernandez@gmail.com. Couldn't get the S, so it's just LUI Hernandez@gmail.com. And that's probably the best way. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I have an Instagram account too, but I don't get on there much. I know I need to.
What's the best social media for you if somebody reaches out on social media?
The one I use the most is probably Twitter or Facebook. I'm old, so yeah. Or not Twitter anymore, X. Sorry.
X. I lost when that changed. I knew it was going to change to X because I listened to him when he bought PayPal and he tried to change that to X and that failed. So I knew that was going to change to X. But yeah. So we'll link everything down below for you guys to reach out to Lewis if you want to talk about any ideas you have or just give him congrats on his awesome podcast.
Thank you.
The one he just did now, or his podcast?
Well, yeah, and the Wayfinder show, it's called wayfindershow.com is our podcast. I mean, that's the website. You can go there too and reach that from there and see all our old episodes, and Jason's on there as well. So before he became world famous, we kind of helped you. Let's be real, man. We kind of launched your podcast.
You did launch me.
No,
I was on your podcast. I'm like, I like this. I need to do my own.
Yeah.
You're on Spotify and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple, everything. The only thing we don't have is YouTube yet. We don't do video yet. We just started with audio because that's all we knew how to edit at the time. We now have the capability, but we just haven't set ourselves up for it. So it's going to come out soon. And we did record everything in video, so we may go back and just upload all of our past episodes on YouTube soon too.
Nice. So if you guys like this type of podcast you're listening to now, the Wayfinder show is a lot like this. They interview entrepreneurs and how they found their way to where they are now. So go find that show, but don't stop listening to my show.
No,
find that show because I'm just a little bit better because I'm me. No,
you're a lot better, man.
I'm kidding. They're wonderful. So find that show. My name is Jason Regan, as I am the owner of Empire Expanders. I also have a coaching business called Salary to Stay, where we take new and struggling short-term rental owners and teach them how to find, fund, and operate properties at a very high level for a good revenue at low cost to their time and their lives. We just launched last week. Actually, by the time the podcast comes out, probably we just launched a couple months ago because we are a little bit in the queue right now. So if you or anyone are interested in learning how to do short-term rentals, reach out to me. All my information is down below too. Or find the Salary to Stay Facebook page. Thank you for listening to this. I appreciate it. I have so much fun doing this. So please keep listening so I can continue doing it. And Mark, my producer, thank you for letting me run for an hour and a half an hour show. And we have another one later. So see you later, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for hanging out with me today on Empire Expanders. Don't forget to subscribe and follow my social media channels for more insightful fun. Also, explore the links in the show notes. If you've enjoyed what you heard, giving us a 5-star rating would really help us out and be appreciated. Stay tuned for more on Empire Expanders.